So, hello everyone. Today, my fellow colleagues and I will be presenting about the Hishkaro River analysis. So, our presentation that we have the first slide as a table of contents. We will look at the background of the river, the site location, and then we will talk about the topography of the region and of the river, and also we will talk about the weather analysis during different season of the region, the road hierarchy and accessibility to the site, the land use around the site, area mapping, the dimensions, and the risks that and existing situations. Also, we have some sections of the river to show, also some types of trees, bushes, and flowers for the area to be used. We'll have a green map, the river and its neighborhood, and also we have a proposed design by the Director of Water, Sewerage, and Duhok, two international examples, problems and restrictions. Also, we will have a proposed design. So let's talk about the background of the river. So Duhok City is located geographically in a mountains area bordered from north by Becher Mountain and from south by Zao Mountain. There are two rivers passing through the city. The first one is called Duhok River, whilst the second one, which is smaller and seasonal, called Hishkaro River. Both river meets up in the southwest part of the city. But is Hishkaro really a river? So if you look at the universal river standards, we see that Hishkaro is more of a creek rather than a river. So a river can have its source from melting ice or even from springs that arise from underground flows. They have their sources located in places of high altitude. On the other hand, creek is a stream with surface water flowing within the bed and banks of channel. The flow of the creek is controlled by three inputs: the surface water, subsurface water, and groundwater. The surface and subsurface water are highly variable between periods of rainfall. A river is larger and deeper compared to a miniature creek. Then we have the site location. As you can see that this part from here, it's our site on the Sarhaldon Road, or next to the Peshmerga Road, is a highly, or we can say dense residential area, and there are rarely commercial buildings around the region. And this is a video showing the river and the site. Next, we have the topography of the site. As you can see, these two charts that shows the highest topography point, and the lower picture that we have the lowest topography point, and these are their more precise locations shown on the pictures.
Sun direction is from east to west, and it basically rises from east and sets in the west. This graph shows us the average hourly temperature in Duhok. As you know, we have very tough winters and very tough summers. In winter, it's a very cold and it rains a lot, while in the summer, it's very dry and very hot. And of course, the water levels depend on the temperature and seasons of the year. As for the wind direction and its speed, the wind in winter is from northwest to middle and southeast, in the summer from southwest to middle and northeast. And its speed is about 22 kilometers per hour. As for the rainfall, the average rainfall is about 7 months, starting from October to May, with the most rain in March, basically spring, and the least rain we have in the summer.
Right. So as you can see that we have two main roads that are drawn in the yellow color, which is this is the Sarhaldon Road, and this is the Peshmerga Road. And also, as you can see, these secondary roads, which are in red, shows the secondary roads and streets that we have to on the site, and their connection and accessibility to the blue line, which is the river, is shown. Next, we have the land use. So as we've stated before, this part of the site, or Hishkaro River, is a highly residential area. As you can see, all of these white buildings are shown in white. They are residential buildings, but with that we have some other activities, like for example these brown spots you see here and also there are empty land. We have too little greenery. As you can see, there isn't much. It's in the green. Also, the blue parts shows the educational buildings on the site. And here we have the area mapping. As you can see again, the buildings that we have here and that we stated before, and different parts, like at different buildings, and their pictures. They're a bit too small, but I think it shows how the area is mapped. The site dimensions and activities. So the site, the total area of the site is 311,540,000 meters square, and the total distance is 2.48 kilometers. The surrounding area around this part of this Hishkaro Creek is mostly residential, as we've stated that so many times before. And also the width and the depth of Hishkaro are relatively minimal in this area compared to the rest of it. So in this specific part of the river, it's not as wide or as deep as we can see on some other parts of the river. However, the terrain of Earth's surface, following in a narrow valley between higher hill areas, makes it exposed to floods, especially in the winter. And this like some videos that shows the river on location. As you've seen in these videos, there is a lot of pollution, water pollution, shown poor water streams, like sewage and garbage, or a lot of it on people throw on the river, no symbiosis. Like, as you can see clearly in the videos, there is conflict between the water and the residential area, and we barely see proper roads, walkways, or even a river layout. Everything is just mixed together with no harmony.
So we took two sections throughout the length of the river in two areas that are different in terms of topography and in terms of the issues that are suffering from. The first section in here, which has a distance of almost 35 meters, shows that this is how the topography is. It's a zone that's mostly surrounded by greenery and empty land, which in this drone sketch shows in a clearer way, let's say. And its elevation starts from a minimum range of 1835 feet to a maximum range of 1846 feet. And generally the issue in this zone or in this section of the river is the fact that comparing to its hilly and steep topography, the water levels are rather low. In the second section, which the river has narrower width, it has a distance of 26 meters, shows a more flat surrounding topography, but also dense with population and a residential neighborhood, which automatically leads the water to be more prone to being polluted.
For the plants we've chosen for the areas, first we have the apple tree. We have chosen the apple tree for this location because it's very effective. It can reach up to 25 feet in height, and it can spread about 25 feet, which gives a good canopy, good shading for the area during the summer, of course. And its leaves are typically about 2 to 5 inches long and 1.5 to 2.5 inches wide. This type of tree is usually at price of $20 to $45. And in the picture on the right, you can see the tree in different seasons. Of course, in winter it falls out, and in summer and spring it blooms flowers and apples. And down on the left side, you can see the color palette of the tree. Here you can see the canopy of the tree on the right side, and you can also see the top view of the tree. And then we also have the eucalyptus tree. We've chosen this tree because they're evergreen. Their leaves are very thick and leathery, and they don't easily wilt. They have different sizes of this tree. They have small, medium-sized, tall, and very tall. The small size grows up to 10 meters, while the medium size is from 10 to 30 meters, and the tall is from 30 to 60 meters, while the very tall grows over 60 meters. And they grow rapidly. They mostly thrive in full sun and when they have plenty of space to grow. They grow well in well-drained conditions and most soil types, including poor soils. And they are good for sheltering and protecting from cold, dry winds, for the weather. And the cost for 1 acre of this tree is about $937. Here you can see the details of the tree from the top view and its color palette. And then we also have the Salix babylonica tree, which has weeping branches, and it shows in every landscape. It grows quickly to a height of between 9 to 12 meters, and width of also 9 to 12 meters. They grow best in full sun, and they mostly prefer acidic, moist soil, and it will tolerate also alkaline soils, but they don't tolerate the cold weather. They first grow in spring, and they can last to drop leaves in fall. The price of this type of tree is about $110. You can see the color palette below. They're mostly always green. And then this is the details of the tree. You can see the top view, the side view. As you can see, it gives a lot of shading. And then you can see the tree in different seasons. In summer, it has some leaves and it's green, while in spring, it has a lot of leaves and it's dark green. And then in autumn, it's yellowish. And in winter, the leaves usually fall. As for the bushes, we have the cheeseweed mallow. Its height is about 3 to 8 feet, and the width is up to 2 feet. The color of this type of bush is dark green, and then it can bloom purple flowers after a couple of months. The leaves are usually round and smooth. It needs, of course, soil, sun, and it doesn't require too much water and maintenance. It lives around 3 to 4 months, and it's very affordable too. And then we have the goosefoot bushes. This shrub size is about 2 to 10 feet. The color is usually green, greenish white. Their texture is very fleshy with thick leaves and small hairs on the leaves. And of course, it grows in the sun or in partial sun as well. It doesn't need much water, and the soil also must be well drained. They are evergreen and they are always aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. The plants drop many seeds, which can potentially become weedy, but it's not invasive, and the maintenance isn't required much for this type of bushes. And then we have another type of bushes, which is blackberry. They are perennial plants, and they bear fruit on their bushes. They grow new green stem cells known as plumecanes. The blackberries grow into bushes of 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and the roots of the plants are perennial, but the top is biennial. That is a branch that comes up this spring, will not fruit until next year, and after fruiting, it will basically die. Its price is about $30. As for the flowers, we have chosen violets. They grow to a height of 6 inches, and the type we've chosen is viola. It's the largest of the genus in the family and consists of 520 to 600 species. The flower colors may be dark blue originally, but they also include white, pink, lavender, red, fuchsia, and yes. Violets grow, they grow the best in moist soil, and they grow best with full sun to a bit of shady conditions. They're usually heart-shaped. Their surface is typically smooth or covered with fine hairs, depending on the type. And the flower is asymmetric and consists of 5 petals, usually. They are short-lived. They're usually lasting of about 2 years, and they do best with regular water. About 50 seeds costs $6.50. And then for this area, we've also chosen roses because it's very pleasing to the eyes. It's very refreshing, and it has a good smell. They have about 100 species, and they grow best in sun with moist, well-drained soil. And they have different colors, of course. There's white, there's yellow, there's pink to dark crimson, and also maroon. And they have a very good fragrance. The sizes of this type of rose, they range from miniatures of half an inch in diameter to measuring more than 7 inches rose bushes. Growing from mid-spring to autumn, the plant goes dormant in the winter usually, and the soil should be kept evenly moist throughout the growing season. The amount and frequency of the watering also depends on the soil type and the climate it's growing in. They are best planted in spring, and they start blooming late May, and they're often considered to be at their best in June. Roses are inexpensive if bought as seeds and grown. Another type of flower we have is the daisy flower, which is very famous in this region. They grow up to a height of 31 inches. The largest leaves are at the base of the plant, and they are about 1 to 6 inches long and about 2 inches wide. The leaves decrease in size up the stem. The upper leaves up to 3 inches long. They bloom in mid-spring to early summer. For the best results, they should be grown in nutrient-poor, free-draining soil in full sun. Daisies are sown in early winter through late spring, and they can also be sown in fall. They have a short living span, like most flowers, that varies from 7 to 10 days. 100 seeds cost around $14.
Trying to categorize the land use of this neighborhood or area, we can see that within its green map, we have 3 different greenery zones. First one is this hilly area, which is approximately 11 meters high, in which we want to use the mentioned tree types in it. For this area, trees are the best solution because trees have bigger and stronger roots. These roots will keep the soil more fixed in its place. That will actually prevent the soil to come down into the water when floods or heavy rains come. Another zone is the zone that's around the river, which we want to create a green belt that surrounds the riverbanks, which we want to mainly put bushes in. And in this basically technical drawing, it shows how planting bushes around the river is a good idea and again prevents soil from coming down all the way to the water and also has other benefits that are environmental. Last but not least, we have a flat area that is almost like a field, which is almost 7,000 square meters, which can be used as a farming field and can even actually have economical benefits. Moving on, the river and the neighborhood. So the river, in its 19,650 meter length, is suggested to have storage holding tanks, which we can invest in the rainwater that falls into it in the winters and also can prevent floods to happen. And in the specified area, the river is 1,034 meters.
We now have the proposed design by the Directory of Water Storage in Duhok. So Duhok government signed a contract with a German company to design the main segment of the Hishkaro River. And first, they was collecting some information about the weather and the rain and estimate a river width that's come from the rain and how to design it to make it safe from floods when it rains. And the proposal consists of 5 designs. So the first one is the cantilever retaining wall, as you can see on the both sides of the river, like building a cantilever concrete retaining walls to hold the water and decrease the risk of having floods on it during the season. The second design idea was the double trapezoid. So as you can see, like making the river bank and bottom and this way, and having a safe distance from the street to reduce the risks. The third proposal was having retaining wall supports on the right side of the river, while on the other one that it's proposed to have the concrete wall on the left side. And the other one is by the other recommendations by the Duhok City director includes that having storage holding tanks across the river. So when the river's overflowing, those tanks can be useful to reduce the amount of water that's in there. Also having buffers to reduce the speed of water flow. And some other recommendations also includes reconsidering stormwater inflow connection points and also fencing around the whole length of the river to make it safer.
Example of a river in Russia, which we related Hishkaro to in terms of it almost had the same sequences, and we look up to developing our little creek into what this Green River project is. Its aim is actually changing a highly dense block district into a more vibrant and green part of the city, which is exactly what we want to do with Hishkaro. We want to break the symmetry and the highly dense population, let's say the gray mood that fell upon the river for feeling like it has no freedom to be flexible and have activities around it in such a tight neighborhood, let's say. It also has, this project has ecological value by linking the small scale to large scale, small scale of the river to the large scale of the city. And in those sketches, pictures shows a connection of the combination of water, greenery with the urban. In this second riverfront master plan, which is in Cleveland, we can see that they worked on transforming this area into improving it in terms of accessibility, equity, sustainability, and resilience of the downtown area. Again, it is in the downtown, surrounded by buildings, houses, apartments, and interesting thing about this design is that the design embraces the city's rich history, which is exactly why we don't want the water or the Hishkaro to be vanished or abandoned. It's been there for a long time, and we don't want it to end up being like an underground sewage water. We actually want to let it bloom and flourish within the city and actually become somewhere people love to gather in rather than escape from. So in these pictures, you can see that there are walkways, seating, steering areas all around the river, also different activities for every person to enjoy them in. Problems in Hishkaro and the restrictions are many. A few of which are the most highlighted in this section of the river is that the water is polluted, filled with garbage. The water is surrounded with houses with a very small distance in between the houses and the river, which leaves not much space for getting creative for more activities and different types of activities. Also, there are no safety measures, such as having railings surrounding the river or any other prevention methods that keep the children or even vehicles safer from being around this river. Also, the air pollution. In summers, there is a very bad smell, and bacteria are spread due to the big amount of garbage inside the water. And also, there are flood risks in the winter, which have actually happened a few years ago. Water is also not used in any efficient way. It's rather used as a dump. And due to the misuse of this river, it has become a nightmare to the residents of the area, rather than being a beautiful place. So in here, we have a proposed design in which we suggest we can start with as a start point to work on fixing the issues in Hishkaro and bringing more healthy and even sustainable design proposals into it. First of all, we want a green layout surrounding the riverbanks for aesthetic purposes, healthy, clean climate and environment, also to prevent people from treating the river as a dump. Also, in the areas in which topography is very low, we can have bridges with connecting walkways or basically going on to an elevated level to create a flow and harmony with the water. Then we can also start promoting for the river by having a belt of daily physical activities around it. We can specify the zone around it for different physical activities such as cycle paths, playgrounds, picnic areas, even zones for social events, gatherings. We can basically make it a fun place to be in, and maybe we can add more sport facilities such as skating, volleyball, and so on. Another thing we can have is walking areas, basically, such as these proposals, let's say, or these ideas. We can have paths, walkways, seating lanes, and other aligning spaces that turn the river zone to a functional area, which people can actually stay in for long times, rather than it being distractive to the residents of this neighborhood. Also, something else we can do is distributing the topography efficiently in terms of functions and materials, so that each layer has its own specialty, uniqueness, and its own characteristics that click with the topography without us needing to flatten it or to change it basically to a boring flat land. Something else is we can have some solutions preventing the floods, such as building reservoirs and creating artificial water intakes. This can help majorly in preventing floods during the heavy rains of the winter and can also be an economical advantage, actually. And then here we have the idea of creating a zone of symbiosis in which all the vivid elements of the environment combine in. We want to create a zone in which humans don't feel like they want to run away from, with all of ages, females, males, kids, adults. Everyone basically loves to be present in this place. Not only that, but greenery flourishes in this place. Doesn't feel like it has no space to grow in. And last but not least, even animals can actually have their own space around this river without being harmed or treated in a bad way due to the disadvantages that we just previously mentioned. So in conclusion, this presentation hopefully provided a good enough research for everyone with tools that are needed to start brainstorming about efficient ways in which we can make Hishkaro Creek to bloom again in a healthy, beautiful, and useful way, like it once used to be.